emails. Not only did he carry on having contact, and these are just emails that have come out so far, there's more to come, that he then said, I look forward to playing with you again soon. What does that mean? We all know what Epstein's idea of play involved. It was abusing thousands of young girls.
By the end of this video, you'll know the 3 most plausible ways Prince Andrew's lifestyle could still be funded today, what's confirmed, what's reported, and what remains a mystery, so you can decide for yourself where the money likely comes from. Let's talk about the question that never seems to die. How does a former working royal, stripped of duties and with no declared major income, continue to live like a billionaire? On paper, the math looks brutal. His only publicly confirmed steady income today is a Royal Navy military pension, roughly £20,000 a year. That's not pocket change, but it's nowhere near 30-room mansion in Windsor Great Park money. Yet the reality, you see, is different. He resides at Royal Lodge, a vast estate inside Windsor Great Park. He travels comfortably.
King and the Prime Minister at St James's Palace this evening. They do not, if they can help it, interfere publicly in one another's business. But that is being tested now by the fallout from the sexual abuse allegations levelled at Prince Andrew by Virginia.
He maintains staff. He projects a lifestyle mostly untouched by the kinds of financial consequences anyone else would face after a public downfall. We start with a simplest equation: expenses versus known income. The numbers don't match, which means the gap is being filled somehow. The question is how. Let's rewind for context. When he was a working royal, reports put his annual support for official duties at around £249,000. When he stepped back, that funding stopped. Any private support from the late Queen has never been publicly disclosed. Translation: the only money openly acknowledged today is a fraction of what a life at that scale costs. Now look at the properties. In 2003, he secured a 75-year lease on Royal Lodge from the Crown Estate for around £1 million, with an obligation to fund major renovations himself. Those refurbishments were reported at roughly £7.5 million. There was also the luxury chalet in Verbier, Switzerland, reportedly bought in 2014 for about £18 million, later tied up in disputes over unpaid debts and then reportedly put on the market. Add to that reported security costs that can reach into the millions annually, with claims that public coverage for those costs has been curtailed. Even routine repairs at a place like Royal Lodge can run into the millions. Again, the arithmetic looks upside down. Where could the money be coming from? Here are the 3 most plausible pathways, drawn from what's been reported over the years. Pathway 1. Private wealth and family assistance. This includes any personal assets, any undisclosed inheritances, and help from family members. Some reports claim King Charles has reduced or cut an annual allowance that had been around £1 million. Either way, the line between public and private inside the monarchy isn't always clear. There are suggestions that his daughters may have helped with some costs. But even if that's true, would it realistically cover the scale of ongoing expenses? That's the open question. Pathway 2. Past deals and relationships. During his time as the UK's special representative for international trade, he met business leaders, oligarchs, and foreign governments. The reporting paints him as a well-connected door opener, someone who could introduce the right people to the right rooms. In some accounts, those introductions could lead to commissions or favors. One example often cited: while British firms pursued contracts in Kazakhstan, a 1% commission was reportedly in play, hypothetically worth millions if the deal landed. There was also the 2007 sale of Sunninghill Park to a buyer linked to Kazakhstan at a price well above market value, with the buyer never moving in. These episodes don't prove ongoing income, but they do suggest how wealth could have been accumulated or unlocked in ways that aren't obvious from the outside. Pathway 3. Structures you're not meant to see. Reports have pointed to companies and vehicles designed to shield royal financial interests from public view. That doesn't automatically mean wrongdoing. It does mean opacity. And opacity is the oxygen of speculation. Without transparency, people fill in the blanks, sometimes fairly, sometimes not. And then there's the controversy that made Prince Andrew a synonym for scandal. The connection to Jeffrey Epstein destroyed his public standing and raised alarms about judgment, proximity to moneyed circles, and the kinds of people he trusted. Emails and accounts have circulated for years, fueling the idea that he was drawn to the orbit of the ultra-rich, sometimes in ways that reflected poorly on him. He has settled a civil case without admitting liability and denies wrongdoing, but the reputational damage has been massive, and reputational damage usually shrinks income, not grows it. Which brings us back to the original problem. If the brand is toxic, where does the cash come from? Now, let's zoom in on Royal Lodge, because it's the symbolic heart of the story. It's technically a lease, not outright ownership, but in practice it functions as a long-term, deeply advantageous arrangement. Reports suggest the king has wanted him to move to a smaller residence like Frogmore Cottage. Andrew is said to be resisting, having poured millions into refurbishments. If any financial pressure tightens further, assets become bargaining chips. We've already seen the Verbier Chalet, reportedly put up for sale under strain. Could Royal Lodge become part of a negotiation? That's the showdown to watch. Here's why this matters beyond one man's bank account. Royal finances occupy a gray zone, part public institution, part private family. When someone in that zone lives in visible luxury while insisting on privacy, the public asks, who's paying exactly? And should historical privilege still shield modern money flows from scrutiny? This isn't about envy. It's about trust. Public institutions need sunlight. When there's none, suspicion grows in the dark, and that suspicion has national security implications, too. If an elevated figure accepts undisclosed gifts, loans, or favors, does it create leverage for outside influence? Governments ask those questions about ministers and civil servants. The monarchy's private walls mean we rarely get the same answers for royals. Where does this leave Prince Andrew right now? Think of his future as a two-variable equation: access to money and the king's patience. If family support is genuinely throttled back and private cash flows don't keep pace with expenses, asset